Hi guys, I'm Heidi, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing my December wrap-up. I only have 4 books to talk about because this month hasn't really been a great reading month. I've definitely been in a slump, but you know, it happens. So the first book that I finished was The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter, and this was the December pick for the Genre Raiders book club. We were reading fantasy this month and I was definitely in my comfort zone. It's one of those fantasy books that focuses heavily on the military and the sword fighting side of things rather than the politics, which is probably not for everyone. So if you don't usually enjoy battle scenes or fight scenes, then there's a chance you might not like this. Because this is mostly what this book is focused on. Something happens to the main character Tao at the beginning of the book, and he decides to take matters into his own hands and get back at the people who wronged him. And the world in which he lives is very unforgiving. There is a very rigid caste-based society, and escaping it is near enough impossible. And one of the struggles that Tao has in his quest for revenge is that in order to carry it out, he has to go against the beliefs and the structure of the society in which he lives, and in a lot of cases that is punishable by death. What was interesting but extremely underexplored was the fact that this story was told from the perspective of the colonizing power, but this was not really explored fully. Women were also given quite a lot of power, but it seemed to be mostly superficial, and it felt like it was mostly there to empower the men. I would have liked it if the author had gone a bit deeper into this topic as well. The writing was a bit clunky, but I wasn't really hugely bothered by it. It was definitely just one more chapter type of book, and overall I did enjoy it. I finished it super quickly, and I ended up giving it 3 stars, and I will definitely be reading the sequel. So I've mentioned before on this channel that YA and romance are the 2 main genres that I usually struggle with the most. I feel like YA is not really a problem because I've read a lot more of it, and as a result I've also liked a lot more as well. But I haven't really read that many romance books, and I haven't really enjoyed the ones that I have read, including the really popular ones like Beach Read by Emily Henry or Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I mean, I hated both of them. But I'm not opposed to the genre or anything. I just feel like I haven't really found the right book. So in December I really felt like I wanted to read something fun and light, and romance seemed like a good idea. So I decided to pick up Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This was recommended to me by Shannon over at That's So Po. Thank you so much for the recommendation, Shannon. And I will link her channel down below. You should definitely check out her channel if you haven't already done so. This was a mixed success. I liked it. I gave it 3 stars, but it also made me realize why I usually don't read that much romance. This is about a woman named Chloe. She has a chronic illness. She is kind of a computer geek, and she almost ends up in a fatal car accident, and then she decides to make a list of things that would help her get a life, and she enlists the help of the superintendent of her house, Red, and initially they dislike each other, but eventually they have a thing. The characters were quite good. Chloe was a great character, and I thought that the fact that she has an invisible illness was handled well. A lot of people have been put off by the steamy sex scenes, and yes, they were quite cringy and not really that well written, but they didn't really bother me. I wasn't crazy about Red. He was likable enough, but it's very clear that Talia Hibbert has a type. This is now the second book that I've read by Talia Hibbert that basically has the same male character. And this is a good example of a romance book that follows the same formula that a lot of romance books seem to follow. You have the main characters, they're into each other, they get closer and closer, but then there's a misunderstanding or a falling out, but eventually they reconcile. It just doesn't interest me at all, because you know that they're gonna end up together and you know how it's going to end. So I think that might be why I've had more success with steamy romance books that don't place as much emphasis on the plot, and I feel like those are probably the romance books that I prefer. And I've sort of realized that you don't go looking for great literature in these books, you pick them up for a good time. And most of them seem to be quite entertaining. I mean, they're like the Netflix of books. You binge read a bunch of them over a weekend and you feel a bit guilty afterwards, but whatever. I mean, you were entertained. A lot of the time they have really funny titles, and the covers are truly terrible as well, so it all just adds to the fun. So anyway, I finished Go Deep by Rilzy Adams. This had the friends to lovers trope. And it is basically about a romance writer who is suffering from writer's block, and to get over it, she enlists the help of her best friend. The dialogue in this was pretty good. The characters actually spoke like real people, and there were a couple of really well written steamy scenes, so I would recommend this. I also finished reading Merry Inkmas. This is another Talia Hibbert book, and I thought this would be a fun, light, sexy holiday romance, and it was so boring. This is about a girl who loses her job, but she gets offered another job at a tattoo parlor that is run by this guy, and they have a thing. There were a few useless side plots that added absolutely nothing to the story. Honestly, I can't believe I'm saying this, but in this case, less plot would have been nice, because the stuff that was there was absolutely pointless. It did the thing where the bad boy wasn't really a bad boy, but a kind boy with a troubled past. And I was like, oh no, just give me a morally grey boy. I don't want this whole thing where even though he has tattoos, and he rides a motorcycle, and he wears leather jackets, and he runs a tattoo shop, he can be a good guy. And I was like, well, obviously. The whole time I was reading this, I wanted to do the thing where they look straight at the camera in the office. The dialogue got a bit cringy as well at times. So yeah, I didn't enjoy this at all. I think I'm mostly having a good time trying to get more into romance, but it's definitely been a mixed success so far. And right now, I haven't really finished Hollow Empire by Sam Hawke yet, so I will be talking about that in a future wrap-up. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video in 2021. Bye!